Sitting through a standard 14-hour long-haul flight is a familiar test of endurance. You deal with cramped legs, stale air, and the slow ticking of the clock. But scale that up by a factor of nearly 9, and you hit the reality of Flight QS73. This is a journey lasting exactly 123 hours and 15 minutes. This 3D map illustrates the extreme geography of the route. Departing from Samvirno during the pitch-black months of the Qonsulate dark season, the aircraft embarks on a trans-hemispheric 5-day trek. It crosses the Shenyen, George, and Jovan seas, clears multiple continents, and finally terminates its week-long journey in Melswith. The sheer physical volume required for this journey transforms the interior into a multi-decked, closed-system society. Every deck is engineered to sustain a population that won't see the ground for half a week. Within this floating society, we see a stark contrast in the human experience. Down in economy, you have passengers like Griffin and his teenage daughter Pamela, displaced migrants uprooting their lives and mourning a recent family death. A few decks away in first class, you have affluent tourists like Frank and Sarah, treating the long transit as an extended, alcohol-fueled vacation. Managing these groups is a primary operational hazard. With hundreds of passengers trapped in close proximity for 5 straight days, navigating both grief and restlessness, the risk of cabin fever and social breakdown is constant. Without a massive diversion, the simple friction of such a long confinement would eventually dissolve the order of the cabin. To survive a flight of this magnitude, an aircraft has to abandon the traditional rules of transit. It has to act as an independent city, complete with its own localized economy, recreational districts, and shifting social hierarchies. The localized economy begins with strict operational parameters. For the first 10 hours after takeoff, all passengers remain confined to their assigned cabins and seating classes. They are simply waiting for the aircraft's sprawling commercial sector, the in-flight mall, to open its doors. But those 10 hours present a unique opportunity because of an architectural perk exclusive to first-class and business-class tickets. Those premium fares include a private onboard hotel room. Once the mall and hotels open, the actual luxury cabin seats are left entirely vacant for days at a time. Looking at this flowchart, we can see how the flight crew activates an in-flight gig economy. As the wealthy passengers retreat to their suites, the flight attendants act as central brokers. They rent out the empty first-class seats to economy passengers for the middle 4 days of the flight. The first-class ticket holder gets cash and free upgrades, while the economy passenger gains luxury seating and complimentary champagne. This creates a massive physical reshuffling of the aircraft's population. Middle-class families pay a small premium to upgrade their living conditions, moving up the decks, while the ultra-wealthy isolate themselves in their private hotel suites. This microeconomy solves multiple problems at once. It keeps passengers economically engaged, it gives the crew a manageable workflow, and ensures that every square inch of the aircraft's luxury seating provides maximum utility rather than sitting empty for a week. By stretching a flight out over 5 days, a ticket ceases to be a guarantee of a specific static seat. It becomes a tradable asset in a fluid, profit-driven marketplace. At the 10-hour mark, the seatbelt signs switch off, and the 6-deck in-flight mall officially opens. The physical confinement ends as passengers spill out into fine dining steakhouses, bowling alleys, onboard spas, and casinos. The center of this activity is the Outdoor Sports Center, which operates using a specialized projection system, geoholography. This split-screen diagram illustrates exactly how geoholography works. The virtual reality environment generated inside the sports center directly mirrors the actual physical geography the plane is flying over in real time. If the aircraft is cruising above the Kangaroo River on the island of Desidi, the holodeck generates a 32°C whitewater rafting experience based on that exact terrain. Because of this direct physical link, high-thrill activities are strictly time-limited. The moment the aircraft physically crosses past the geographical border of the river below, the simulation expires, forcing passengers to seek out the next activity. This constantly shifting resort environment acts as a crucial pressure valve. By offering intense physical stimuli and novelty, it distracts the brain from the reality of being trapped in a metal tube in the stratosphere. The sheer density of this artificial environment aggressively accelerates human connection. Normal relationship timelines compress. We see this with 2 teenagers on board, Johnny and Pam, who go from awkward introductions at an economy buffet to a deep, intense romance inside a holographic hotel suite in a matter of days. Down in the mall, societal boundaries temporarily vanish. Wealthy Mildresian tourists share meals and swap stories with Swithlandic migrants, interacting in spaces where the rigid rules of their boarding classes no longer apply. This onboard metropolis is an absolute necessity for survival. The casinos, holographic rivers, and gig economies force active human connection, staving off the psychological breakdown that would otherwise ruin a week-long confinement. But the illusion has a strict expiration date. At hour 1:13, the mall closes. The holograms power down. The vacation ends abruptly, and the aircraft transitions back from a bustling city into a heavily regulated vehicle preparing for descent. A mandatory migration sweeps through the decks. All passengers must vacate their rented luxuries and hotel suites. For the final 10 hours, everyone returns to their original socio-economic designated seats to prepare for landing. Arriving in Melswith introduces the final logistical hurdle. Flight QS73 is simply too massive to use traditional airport terminals. Instead, the plane bypasses the main airport entirely, taxiing toward a colossal, standalone warehouse structure tucked away in a forested area. This schematic details the massive arrival procedure. Because the plane cannot connect to a standard gate, passengers disembark using turn-availance station buses. These are specialized, 4-story mobile terminals designed to drive up and dock directly with the aircraft's numerous exits, extracting passengers deck by deck. This final step immediately reinforces the class divides that were eased during the flight. Economy passengers are loaded into rear buses and funneled straight to immigration and customs, while first-class passengers enjoy continued luxury service and complimentary drinks aboard their mobile transfers. Flight QS73 proves that travel on this scale requires the vehicle to function as a complete society. When a journey pushes past the limits of human endurance, the transit entirely becomes the destination.